Welcome back to another Authentic Identity podcast. My name is Blake. Thank you for joining us. We're here in the new Blueform Media workshop. I got my lovely wife, Mallory, on the controls. Say what up.
Hello.
She said hello, not what up. I was trying to be cool. But I'm super excited today. I had the privilege of producing a podcast for Cody Adent, and his guest was so impressive to me that I invited her on exactly a week later. Here in the studio, I have Danita Young. Give a hello, Danita.
Hey, hello.
Awesome. I was just blown away by how authentic you are as a person. Like, the energy was just like, we were just vibing. Mm-hmm. You didn't know I was vibing. I was in the other room on the controls, but yeah, you come in, you're stunning, you're glowing, and you have like a really great kind of message and mission, I think, in helping people. And so what you were speaking about, what you were talking about was really just, it was kind of hit me in the feels a little bit. A lot of good things to be said. So I hope we can unpack some stuff, but.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do think authenticity or just genuine really does carry a message further than surface. And so I'm really excited we're here today. And I felt the same after speaking with you afterwards and you taking me through a tour of your house. It's work-life balance that you got going on here. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's balanced, but it's there, both aspects of it. Yeah. But yeah, thank you. Yeah, we just decided, for those of you listening, we just decided to get rid of like the last remaining square footage of our home for this workshop and another front kind of lounge studio. And we just live in our master bedroom and the kitchen. That's it. So everything else is studio.
Definition of an entrepreneur right there.
I hope. Yeah, maybe. Owner operator for sure. But yeah, I don't know. Have you heard the definition of entrepreneur? There was some guy given his definition of it. I think it's really good.
I want to hear it.
So he says he asks you if you can be away from your business and it still operates for 3 months, then you're an entrepreneur.
Ooh.
I was like, not quite there yet. And then the next question he asks is if you can be away from your business for 3 months and your business will grow by itself. That's the next level.
That is the next level.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So tell me what we got in the cups today. You brought us some London fog tea. Is that right?
Yeah. So I don't know if for those out there that are in that circadian rhythm or trying to get more energy in their life, talking about entrepreneurship, more energy is what we need. It's something we obviously run off of. And I was drinking coffee all the time and found my adrenals just plummeting. And I started really going into the light therapy and the grounding and started getting away from the caffeine and leaning more towards London fog. Now, for those that are listening, you're going to say there's still caffeine in London fog. You're right. It is black tea, so it's the Earl Grey mixed with the lavender, and it's got a little bit of the honey and almond milk in it. But to me, it just kind of, it's just, I don't know. You got to try it, right?
Okay, yeah.
You haven't tried it yet. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to try it now.
Tell me your thoughts.
Okay, here we go. A little bit of ASMR here. Oh, that's good. That's really, it's not like sugary. It's just sweet.
It is sweet, and you can actually do it. I ask usually for a little half sweet, and I feel like they went full sweet here, but you can do a lot less, which can kind of create a little bit more of that lavender, more bitter.
Sure.
So
you can mellow it out then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Mal, I'm going to hand this to Mal. She's going to try it too.
Okay.
Try that. Everybody's doing it. It's the latest craze.
Take a hit.
No, that was exciting. We were running so crazy. We were supposed to crack open a wine bottle with you and Jay, I think, today.
That's delicious.
Just to, kick it off right on a Friday, but we just got so busy. So thank you for bringing the lemon fog. Can I have that back?
London fog.
London fog. Lemon London. Oh. So how do you come across a drink like this?
Let's see. I guess I just started looking for substitution for caffeine, just coffee.
Yeah.
And ended up coming across this, tried it, and fell in love. And then now I just make them at home. I don't know. For those that have had them, you know what I'm talking about. I feel like we can be like London fog people, but if you've never had it before, you might get turned on. But yeah, you have to find your level of sweetness. Otherwise, it can be a little overbearing.
And yeah, turned on to the drink, not arousal. I'm sure you meant. But yeah, both. I'm maybe on both right now. But this is actually really good. Ooh, okay. Matt, what do you think? What's your opinion?
Yeah, I have a coffee addiction, hardcore.
Yeah.
It'd be a great substitute.
Because like you could probably touch on this too, but like I've heard that coffee, it just kind of masks your energy. It doesn't really give you any energy. It just kind of turns off your like energy. It stops the
hormone that
yeah.
says you're tired.
Yeah, your body makes a hormone.
Doesn't send that message.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So the coffee, or the caffeine rather, it just kind of tells your body to stop producing a hormone that makes you tired. And so you're not really getting any energy from it at all or anything. You're just like, just tricking your body that you're awake.
I was just getting more tired off of it.
Yeah.
I was getting more and more exhausted. And I mean, how productive can you be when you're just living off of coffee? And then what happens, I found I was starting to wake up more at night. So like waking up like midnight and then couldn't go back to sleep. So I just felt like my whole rhythm was off. But yeah, I definitely feel a lot more balanced with a few little tweaks in my life.
That's interesting. Maybe we can dive into more of what you've done to do that. Because here's a question that could probably kick this off. You brought up circadian rhythm. How important is it for an individual to get a good circadian rhythm, a good night's rest, for you to be your most authentic self?
Well, I'm a weight loss coach. I would not even say weight loss, more fat loss coach, but obviously weight loss is more used. But yeah, I have a lot of clients that are over here trying to lose weight, and they're over here just looking at nutrition or workouts, when if you're not actually getting sleep, you're not building that lean muscle that's going to be burning the fat. And so you're going to find yourself spinning in your circle of trying to reach a goal, but then missing it. Or for those that are obviously entrepreneurs or wherever you're at and trying to reach everything, sleep is so key. And needing to have that rhythm where you're finding that deep REM sleep too. I think it's not just sleep, but just getting that deeper, where our cells are regenerating at that level. Our hormones are getting rebalanced on that level. To me, that's the foundation that we need right there. Yeah,
it's like everything, right? It's your alertness. It's because when you're hangry or when you're tired, right? You're like the Snickers commercials. You're just not yourself, so you go get a Snickers, right? You go fix the problem. So I'm wondering if my whole adult life, if I have been missing out on like, parts of myself that are not able to come forward because the circadian rhythm has just been off, or up late binge watching shows, or just dieting, just keeping you up at night, caffeine. Adrenals. Have you
tried, have you done any like light therapy, or like what have you done for just like circadian rhythm?
See, that's where me and Mal are horrible. We're horrible at our circadian rhythm, but the blue light itself from like a monitor screen, like entering your eye, is like super destructive from what I understand. And so I've looked into red light therapy. And there's a couple spas in town, I think, that do it. You mentioned you guys do red light there at your spa, or no?
I actually don't. I've just been using sunlight, but yeah, keep going.
Oh, yeah, sunlight, like just getting vitamin D in the morning. So grounding, and then sunlight is some things that we've implemented, but dieting as well. Just I've been on the carnivore diet for like a year. We break it probably a little too often these days, but I'll go have like a burger or something from time to time. But yeah, I've lost like 45 pounds, I think.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, I was a chubster, the chubster is the term. Yeah. But I think we might be jumping the gun a little bit, because I heard a whole podcast with you with Cody, and so I'm kind of jumping into where I left off. But before we dive into that, let's give the audience like a little bit more background about you. Tell us your backstory. So as early as you want to go, who is Danita?
Danita was shy, lost, found herself just not wanting to really be seen, not really wanting to be heard, not wanting to put herself out there at all. I was living a life that under some limiting beliefs of I'm not good enough, I'm not worth it, I'm not deserving. And really found myself stuck in a life of unhealthy relationships, overweight, lost, and shrinking myself, truly. I feel like there's only two states we can be in, is a contracting version or an expanding version of ourselves. And it was for sure a contracting version of myself. Any picture I saw of myself, I would rip it up. Or if it was somebody would want to go on a vacation or a trip, I'd say no. And it was just constantly prefer not to. Just how much more could I just isolate and avoid the world? And that's where my life came from.
So is that like, is that how you grew up? Where did that start, do you think?
I would say where it really started for me was I'm an ex-Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
And just listening to other people's beliefs of what you should be rather than truly listening to what you are supposed to be. And I think for those that maybe can't relate to religion, this could be a little bit more towards maybe how your parents think you should live your life.
Yeah. Yeah, or like a community. Like we're going to go down there. Do you want to do it?
I'll go wherever you want to go. I told you I flow, so wherever you want to take
flow.
it. Yeah.
I too am no longer practicing Mormonism, but I grew up in that community, in that culture. I went on a mission. I got married in the temple. The whole night. I as deep as you can go outside of leadership at higher levels. But I didn't know who the fuck I was. All right, sorry. We took a quick break so we could take a shot and brace ourselves because I knew you were religious. I don't think you mentioned you were Mormon last time.
I just probably said spiritual.
That's right. Yeah, we're both very vague because, I don't like to offend really good people, right? Because there's excellent people that in the state of Utah, the people that I grew up with and I know and I still love that are still practicing the faith. But you're an ex-Mormon.
Yes. I did the temple thing as well. So
did you really?
You and I went to the Knuckles right there. We went to the full.
We went to the end zone.
We did.
Yeah. We would, we went to the celestial kingdom, I guess. Mm-hmm. Or, had our name on some scroll or something somewhere. I don't know. Aren't the angels supposed to write our names down all the time?
If you have any Mormons listening to this podcast, you're going to be losing followers right now. Mm-hmm. So, okay.
That's okay. I don't care what religion or what set of truth or conspiracy or what topic is on the table on this podcast. It's all about unpacking authenticity.
Ooh.
Doesn't matter what it is. So just trying to be as real as possible. There's a lot of good things that can come from religion. So maybe we could start with
the good things.
The good things before we slash this to pieces.
No, I agree. And I don't want to, I love that you're taking that approach. Because everybody just wants to hurry up and jump into the garbage and the drama and things like this. And so I love that you're taking that approach. For me, what it did is it gave me a lot of structure.
Yeah. Agreed. In what way? Like, what was the good part of the structure that you benefited from? Maybe
it was like the morals, right? It was just the good person, not lying, not stealing, just having family be the foundation and just being kind.
Dude, that's really well said. That's like at the very fabric of the Mormon culture is genuine kindness, 100%. And there's a structure, there's reliability there with the people you meet. There's always some bad apples in every group, but there's, people are going to show up with a lasagna or some Jell-O at your house if you're sick or your mom is in the hospital with the new baby brother, right, or whatever. So really, really, really good community, excellent people, very kind. What else you got? What else was good? You said moral structure.
Moral structure. Yes. I think other good things that I noticed about the Mormon religion, or just religion, at least for me, was having a belief that there is more than just this earthly experience, and that there is hope, kind of, I guess, after death.
Yeah.
Feeling like that we're not just dying and we're done.
Yeah, there's more to it. That's actually a really good point. Yeah, because did you go on a mission at all?
I didn't.
Right, because you got, that wasn't a big thing for the sisters to do at the time, right? Now it seems like it's way more popular now. Like almost more women are going on missions than men, or it seems like that. I don't know the numbers, but
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting.
So what was your take on it, though? I want to hear from you. What was your good things that you were able to take away?
So a good thing, excellent community, excellent environment, low crime, my family was like very low middle class. And then as I got older, my dad was upper middle class. When I flew the coop, right, when I was out in the world, he was settled into his career a lot better. And so I never wanted, I never went without, right, with anything. So fantastic childhood. But a lot of times people, they grow up in some really bad circumstances and they look at, a suburb, a white kid from the suburbs, or a Mormon family or whatever. And it's not that like our childhood was bad. I can't speak for you, but my childhood was fantastic. It wasn't until I got older that I realized how limiting everything was. And kind of the baggage that came with that. So I've bitched about it on other podcasts, and people have commented and they're like, oh no, this poor white kid who had a great family. And it's true. I did have a great family because of the structure, because of the morals. But the biggest thing for me probably is work ethic, like service, and just being so willing to help other people before yourself. Right. I think a lot of times it's with wrong intentions, or the deep causation of it is like subconsciously there is like a desire for a reward, whether it's in this life or the next one. There's still some of that, but yeah, just overall service and work ethic was the big thing for me. But
I'd have to agree. I would
Yeah.
definitely agree on those ones.
before we take the gloves off, you got any other good things?
I'm ready to take the gloves off
Let's
now.
do it. Let's get those fucking gloves off right now. If you felt comfortable for a little bit, yeah. Press pause. Turn this off if you want. No, let's be as real as possible though. Like no holds barred.
Okay. Yeah,
Right.
I'm going all in now. So,
Hit it.
what really was hard for me was the no sex at all until you're married. Now, what if I decided I didn't want to get married until I was 49?
Yeah.
So that means zero intimacy at all
Yeah.
for 49 years.
I know people like that. I have family that are in their 60s that are unmarried and have been, to my knowledge. I mean, without partner, whether they're, getting stuff done by themselves or not
Yeah.
in the bedroom or in the shower. Like,
Well, then it
Don't know.
turns into guilt. It's immense guilt, because then you have all these strict rules of, the no sex before marriage and the no caffeine. And then you have to dress a certain way. And you also have to watch certain movies, and you can only hang around with certain people, and the rules and the rules and the rules and the rules. Eventually, at some point, you feel like you are just in this box. And anytime you do anything outside of the box, you have this immense guilt.
yeah, shame.
That is a low vibration.
Absolutely. I think shame is actually the lowest
It is.
of the vibration.
Yeah, you're right.
And
100%.
they're right shoulder to shoulder with guilt, shame. They're basically the same.
And so you have all these people that are like, okay, yeah, they're not doing, let's say caffeine or alcohol. Well, obviously they're doing caffeine, they're soda pop, but they get addicted into that soda pop sugar world. And yet they're not finding out, oh, well, maybe tea actually could be better than soda pop.
Oh
you know
my
what I mean?
gosh. You're speaking like Mal can attest to this, but I have family that they're very bothered that I'll smoke a cigar on occasion or have a drink. And it's funny hearing these people talk about the word of wisdom and how what I'm doing isn't healthy for me. And they're exactly what you said. They are so addicted to caffeine through soda So like, how do you take your caffeine? Through coffee or soda? Like, take your pick. I guess it's different. And I have family that are just like morbidly obese, and overweight. And my dad, I wouldn't say he's morbidly obese, but he's definitely not healthy. He's getting there. He's made a ton of progress. So
Go dad.
But yeah, back in the day, he used to. I think I've been out of the church now for about 9 years. I like look at my watch.
I'm so excited to hear your breakaway stories. So like, can we have that moment where we like talk about what was the point, the pivotal point?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, you go.
You're the guest. You go first.
Oh, geez. Okay.
But to put a pin in that, it was just like the hypocrisy of them preaching health because they don't partake in alcohol when they're morbidly obese is kind of funny. So anyway, let's hear your breakaway story. Tell me how you break away.
Okay, here's my breakaway story. So I was told in the Mormon religion that if you do something that would be against the word of wisdom, such as have alcohol, you would lose this thing called the Holy Spirit. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and try and see if that's really the case or not.
How old were you at this point?
I was 26.
Oh, okay. That's same age. I'm not even shitting you. I would break away at 26.
What in the world?
Yeah, that's weird.
Wow. Okay.
Let's go.
Yeah, knuckles again. Here, let's
knuckles
do
again.
Knuckles. I got a lot of knuckles going on.
I knew I liked Danita. I knew it.
Yeah, and this is fun. Okay, so I'm just got recently divorced at 26 and married my temple marriage priesthood holder. Everything was picture perfect, and all of a sudden, everything shattered around me as I recognized I was in a very abusive relationship, miserable with myself, had no idea my own identity, just been kind of like running on the skirt tails of like what other people are telling me who I should and could and will be. And all of a sudden, I just had everything shatter. And I'm sitting in my mom's house because I moved back in with my mom's house. That was when you're in your lowest, right? You're back at your mom's basement. Oh, yeah. And I'm sitting there, and I have my first glass of wine at 26 years of age, and by myself. It's really kind of picture this lonely moment, right? And I'm drinking this glass, and I go, okay, if I no longer can feel this spirit, this connection with God, then I know that it was right this whole time. I'll know that what they were telling me is right, and that I'm going to lose this connection, and I'm going to be on the forbidden lost path. But the story is, I had the glass of wine, and I was like, this is great. I feel more connected. Let's go. Yeah. I was so ready for a more spiritual connection and break free of that. It was my break free moment, but I got to hear from yours now.
Dude, that's awesome. Well, let's unpack that for a second. Because, when you have a little bit of alcohol, I was told, and tell me, were you told the same? If you have a sip of alcohol, like, you will lose all your inhibitions and you won't have any control, and you will just become like this completely different person who's just out there with no control, just sinning left and right. Like, oh, there's a sin over there. I had some alcohol. Oh, there's a sin. Let me go get it.
You there's a. And you just have magically.
Yeah, I'm just ready to sin like that.
Yeah.
All my morals gone like that. That's how I was told. As soon as you touch it, you're drunk.
Well, and that unpacks a whole other part about, like, for people that can't handle alcohol, we'll go down that direction. But I actually don't think it's alcohol at all is the problem, as much as it is their limiting beliefs and self-worth.
Yeah.
Anyways. So
it's like a form of escapism. Yeah.
But yeah, mine was the exact same. If you go down this path, you are fucked.
Yeah, you're fucked. You're screwed. You're going to hell.
Yep.
You'll just keep sinning. You have no control.
Yep. Kiss your life goodbye.
Exactly. That's how it was portrayed to me as well. So here's my breakaway, right?
Okay.
I joined the Marine Corps right out of high school, and it was a big deal because I wasn't supposed to go on a mission. But you can get into your paperwork that you're going to serve a 2-year religious deferment. So you go to training, you go to your boot camp, and then your military occupational schooling. So whatever your job is, you go to that. And then, I mean, you could serve a couple of years and then put in your paperwork for a deferment. So that's what I did. All the Utah recruiters, they know that trick. And it's totally granted because we have the Constitution and we have freedom of religion, which is excellent. And so I got that all squared up before I even went to boot camp. And then when I got back and I turned in my mission papers, like while I was at boot camp, like my mom mailed them out. So I got to School of Infantry, and I had a mission call, like almost waiting for me. Like a month into the school, my mission call arrived, and I read my mission call on the third deck of a barracks with 2 other Mormon Marines, and they're the best. So I went 6 years in the Marine Corps without touching a drop of liquor. Like I was totally full believer. I loved it. I served a mission in Germany. It was great, but I deeply regret it. There was a time I had my mission call, and I'm sitting in a school of Marines, and they're passing around a roster to sign up for Special Forces, for Marine Force Reconnaissance. And I was like, I had a mission call to Germany, and I was holding that clipboard, and I was white knuckling, and I was just froze. Like a flashback scene in a movie, where they're like, hey, wake up, buddy. And like, they wake back up, So I was like that. And they were like, they said my name like 4 times. They're like, Norton, pass it. And I was like, ugh. Like it was everything that resonated with my body. Like the only time I ever really felt the Spirit was when I prayed for an answer if I should be in the military or not. And I don't think it was the Holy Ghost. I think it was something that was so resonating with me that my body told me that. I don't think it was a ghost or a spirit or anything. I think it was within you. I've come to the belief, Danita, that we have everything we need within ourselves. I think God and religion is an outward expression of what's actually supposed to be internal, and it's all internal. But anyway, so I'm sitting there. I go on a mission. I come home. I get married. I go back into my Marine Corps unit. And my family was like, my dad was pissed that I was joining the military. Like my grandpa, all of my family, like nobody gave a shit. So my Mormon family, you can walk around their entire home, and there's not a single shred of evidence that I was in the military. Usually there's like a picture or, at least a bumper sticker. Totally. Or something, right?
Something.
And so nobody thought I was going to go on a mission. They thought I was just joining the Marines and I was going to be inactive, right? And that's what it was. So, yeah, my family really didn't care. Like they showed up for graduation, but no one cares. Like you could ask anyone in my family and they don't know what I did, or like they don't even know my job. They're like, they know I was in the Marines, but like my sister said I was in the Army one time. I was like, you just get it right. Like if you have a service member in your family, like just at least understand what they do, and high five them once in a while.
That's so important for the human experience to be seen.
Yeah.
It's so important.
I'm glad you brought that up actually, because I think my Mormon upbringing made me addicted to validation. Like
in what way?
I would only really get freedom of movement as a teenager. Like I could go out with friends or do things if I was living a certain way or if my grades were a certain way. And the only way I could really get words of affirmation is if I had bore my testimony well, or if I had walked the walk or brought great honor to my family, And so I've unpacked that on some other Authentic Identity episodes, but yeah, I basically got back and I was gone a lot with the military. I was doing some contract work as well. And I got married in the temple, and I was just gone all the time. And so my marriage was just in shambles, and I was just told all the time, hey, happy wife equals happy life. So I was just guilt-ridden all the time. But because I was gone all the time and coming back from the work I was doing, I was just kind of emotionally unavailable and just very closed off. And so I wasn't abusive or anything, but she just found company with other men. So she left the church as well. And then I was still strong. I was like going to a singles ward, and I was trying to date again. And I'd be on a date with the girl in a singles ward, and everything would be, it was just going swell. Like, golly, dang it.
Swell.
Danita, it was jeepers. It was swell, And then I'd bring up the fact that I was divorced, and I had 3 dates walk out on me.
What, like get up
in
and
Provo.
walk out?
Yeah, this is like Utah County, Provo.
Wow.
Like one of them just like clammed up And then like we had another thing at, you know, another wholesome activity planned at the bowling alley, and she just left. But one of them just like dropped her fork and like was like, I have to leave. So
it doesn't shock me because that you just have this vision of the most perfect future. You have this cookie cutter idea in your mind when you're following this path, and so it doesn't shock me at all that it's getting up and walking out, because you're like, oh, that's not what my dream life said to me, so I'm just going to pick up and walk out, rather than looking at you and seeing you as the soul you are. Rather, they just said, you have a ding on your record and I'm going to walk out now.
Dude, exactly. Like very, very high acuity with religion, but zero spirituality. Right? Because they're looking for that they've only there's no room for imperfection. That
was so well said.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Couldn't say it better.
Thank you. Yeah, but you nailed it on the head. That's exactly what it is. There's you're brainwashed for so long that so they can get an outcome, right? Because your parents and like your local congregation or whatever you want to call it, your ward or your neighborhood, like it's like they're all little microcosms that raise you. And then they add, the more strict they are, they're looking for a particular outcome. They want you to check all the boxes and be a certain way. And, you know, my parents, I love them to death, and they have 5 kids. I'm the oldest. All 5 of their kids went on missions. All 5 of them got married in the temple. And I'm the black sheep because I broke. So my family didn't give a fuck how I got divorced, just the fact that I got divorced. Yeah, I slept in a Honda Accord for 3 months because I couldn't go home to mom and dad. I eventually did, but they tried to impose rules on me like I was back in high school. I spent most of my youth being grounded for months at a time because I was a B and C student, but I could have been an A student. So I was grounded for months.
Yeah, but A student for what? The freaking
the public education.
Yeah, the
system.
Public education system. Like, oh my gosh, like that's what we're rating ourselves at, and a lot of our worth has come from that. You guys, like I do therapy for my job. I know, as you guys hear, like a weight loss coach, but really what it comes down to how to a transformation. It comes from mindset, and that's really where everything is stemmed from. It, and so you know, a lot of it can go back to I'm not smart. Well, where did you come up with that belief? Oh, because I got a C and now all of a sudden I've labeled myself I'm not smart. Well, who decides that?
Exactly.
Who decides what smart is?
Yeah.
Who decides because you're not good in math, but maybe you're amazing and excellent in history? I mean, we all have gifts. Why don't we lean into our gifts? Yeah,
my favorite subject was history and science, and everything else I was horrible at. Except English. My mom, she was an English major, so. But yeah, the problem is it's a one size fits all society. I mean, even just us in America, like all the way down to a microcosm of like Utah Mormons or just Mormon, you know, culture. That's a microcosm within a microcosm, right? It's just, you know, so that crazy, like really religious zealotry within the culture really puts a lot of blockages for people. And they just, I was talking to my sister yesterday, and my family and other people as well, they're lacking so much perspective. And so they literally have zero capacity for empathy beyond what their current perspective is.
True.
And so that was my family. I got a divorce, and I took the high road, and I kind of didn't say, I'm like, hey, this is kind of like embarrassing to say, like, because I got cheated on. You know, I was inadequate. I was gone all the time. And I was also losing parts of my soul doing some pretty heinous work for the government, right? It was good work. It needed to be done, but it had a certain flavor. And so, coming home, I was just hiding a lot of shattered pieces. You know, I was just holding shit together, like stoic. But anyway, I took the high road.
And a lot of men are.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, if anyone's listening, they're going to go, yeah, I relate. And there's going to be men out there too that also have been walked out on. And then we go back to that word that you said, adequacy, you know, and who's to say, like going back to the school system, who's to say what we're labeling ourselves of what really adequate really is?
Yeah. Like, I think there's adequacy for a certain job, right? If a surgeon is performing heart surgery,
Correct.
like there's levels of adequacy that you would hope he has.
Yeah.
There's areas of life that require adequacy, but like in a general setting, public education, like there's just this big measuring stick to be like, are you conforming? It's really, that's all it's measuring. Are you conforming to what the standard should be of stuff that really doesn't matter? And so we're not actually finding out who people are. And that's a huge inspiration of like what this podcast is. Because I think people take that model and they put it into their business and they put it into their relationship. And they're like, you know, why are you not the way I want you to be? Right.
For women, it can be either a certain kind of beauty, or I'm a good enough mom, or it can be, am I good enough? Am I worthy? Am I pure? For men, I've heard, do I provide? Do I give you safety? Do I make my woman happy?
Am I respected?
Yeah.
It's a big one.
Adequate, as you mentioned those words. And when we find what we're judging ourselves against, whether it's the public education or if it's, let's say, you got the media for women's beauty, whatever it is that we're judging ourselves against, it's really good to pull back and then really go, wait a minute here.
Yeah.
And that perspective that you were talking about earlier, really, it is a shift of perspective. And you were kind of mentioning about just like the self-development space that we get into. And yeah, we can go up to the mirror all day long and say, I'm adequate and I'm beautiful. But if we don't have the knowing, it's not going to hit. It's not going to connect. And so that world is false. It's called a warm bath effect. As soon as you're in the bath, yeah, you feel warm, you feel fuzzy. But as soon as you're out, you're cold. And you don't have that deep knowing inside of you to say, you are freaking adequate, but you've got to separate of where that belief originally came from.
You just nailed it on the head. I love that. So for you, like, where did your beliefs come from? I mean, obviously from the Mormon culture, but where specifically? Those limiting beliefs you brought up a minute ago.
Yeah, I'll share mine because I think by sharing is really where we connect and bond truly. And for me, it was 4 years old. I got taken by the state. I was removed from my family because I was playing outside. Single parent mom wasn't home yet. And it was happening on a reoccurring basis. And so the neighbors had called in and said,
so CPS got involved.
Yep. Take this kid and put her into foster.
Wow.
And I remember when I got taken, all of a sudden, when I was in that stranger's car, I thought, crap, I wasn't supposed to talk to a stranger. And my mom had told me to go inside and not play with my kids after school or play with my friends after school. So what happened is at 4 years old, I blamed myself. It's my fault that now I don't have my family.
Wow, what a trip for a 4-year-old. Yeah, and I mean, that's scary. I remember just being around people you don't know at like a store. You're like that the warm bath effect, the sense of familiarity, that your safety net is completely gone. I remember seeing like a guy with a beard for like the first time, like where's my mom? I'm in danger.
Stranger danger.
Yeah, the guy's like got piercings and a beard. He's like on a Harley, and we were at like a rest stop or something, and I was not in any danger, but I just remember being like,
yeah,
there are other people in this world that I have never, a limiting perspective of like a 6-7-year-old kid. But
yeah.
So you're in that car as a 4-year-old and you just started blaming yourself.
Blaming myself. It's my fault. And so then what happens when we're little is we have these plastic brains and we are the center of our universe, which means our ego world is everything is about us. So if our mom is in the room and she's yelling at a dog, we don't recognize it's the dog's fault. We just know mom's angry and I'm in the room. It must be my fault.
Yeah.
And so as children, we're going to start to blame ourselves and we're going to create everything as about us, whether it's good or bad. We're not seeing the big picture. We are egocentric and we make everything about us. Yeah. And that's where a lot of these limiting beliefs come from, is that developmental stage. And so what we do, so here, check this out, is the subconscious then is running 95 to 98% of us. And it starts with the trigger. It starts with the event. And my event was being taken by the state. So then my thought was, it's my fault. I don't have my family now, and being raised by the church, families are together forever.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I thought, oh my gosh.
This is forever.
Forever. I've just ruined something because I did something bad. I'm bad. So what are the emotions that come from that? Because all thoughts lead to then emotions. We're not AI. Anybody, just check and make sure everybody has emotions, okay?
Let me check real quick. I don't know how you check for that, but
yeah, right.
That's awesome.
And so the emotions that come from that is worthlessness, void, emptiness, completely. Like, will you trail down your emotions to get to that feeling inside of you that feels empty? And then what do we do next? Actions. We fill it up with actions. That's the escapism. So what do? Anything that's an extreme in our life is filling something up. Think about that, you guys. That's important to really think about. Anything that's extreme. And so for me, I was a people pleaser. I was an overworker. I was constantly addicted to stress because I was getting the adrenaline to get more done. A huge to-do list to just keep running, doing.
And dopamine.
The dopamine, I was addicted to it. Mm-hmm. And so then what was my outcome? Well, no wonder why I attracted the wrong mate. No wonder why I was in abusive situations. No wonder why I was constantly finding failure all around me. And then I repeat it over and over and over and over.
Cyclical.
It's patterns. And truly, when you identify your patterns, so this like shatters all self-development space, because when you get to the root of where it comes from, and then you're able to go to the source and this is what I did. This is, I'm just going to reveal how you guys break out of it. This is, you guys just got $500 therapy session right here.
I know.
Is you separate yourself. Is it really true that my 4-year-old self, it's my fault?
No.
But you couldn't tell me that. I had to tell myself that.
Your higher consciousness has to tell your subconscious and then unprogram that pattern for an extensive time, right? And how often do you have to tell yourself that?
Well, that's the beautiful thing of neuroplasticity, is now we can take the plastic thing that's made us, that's this neurological pattern that's been on for, let's say, 30 years. And now you're able to create a wrench in that, create a new neuron in your frontal lobe and say, wait a minute, that's not true. Is it possible I've been good enough this entire time?
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, hey, wait, you're adding perspective to your subconscious consciously. And that's a fucking fight. That $500 worth of therapy content you just got there for free.
500.
You didn't have to read a book.
Tip me later.
That's okay. And so with the self-help world, this is a take I've been wanting to say for a while, and so I'm happy I get to get your opinion on this, but the self-help world to me is very potent. A lot of good knowledge and skills and actionable things to do. But it never really preaches this like healing, because that's not grind culture. That's not hustle, to pause and meditate and put your feet in the grass and do nothing for a time. So your inner child has time to relearn stuff. It's not part of the culture. And so I think a lot of people build good discipline habits. They do all the right things. They become successful, but at their core, their foundational level, they have not done the work that you're talking about. That work, it's so funny because to do that work is to literally not do things that stress you out. It's healing, because I've experienced a lot of PTSD just from the jobs I've had, and
I can imagine
the spicy dreams. They come back and they're fun. But it's just something you unpack, and everybody has their own little things they have to unpack. But I think a lot of people, they just gloss over that and they bury it deeper. And so then they build on top of that, waking up early, going to the gym, doing all these things, which are great things to do, but they didn't really fix the foundation of it.
And how have you been fixing your foundation? Because I fixed my foundation, so I want to hear about yours.
With a motherfucking jackhammer. Because when you build on a bad foundation, if you care about that building, right? Like it's done. It's over. You have to rip the whole building up and you have to go into like foundation work is probably the hardest thing to do in like a renovation or a remodel or try to save the house. Sometimes it's cheaper just to bulldoze it and start new, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I got to some rock bottoms. I've been divorced twice, married and divorced twice.
Congratulations.
And so, yeah, thank you. Yeah, and then Mal's my third marriage, and I think we're finally getting. She has a similar track record as well, but not as many divorces. But we're really we don't have a choice because we run this business together, so we have to get our shit together. So we don't really have the option. We promise that to each other, and it's been going well. But we've had our ups and downs, right? Mal, she's probably nodding her head. But yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought there.
No, let's go back to the foundation part.
Yeah,
I really think that's it's so profound. I love how you metaphorically tied that to that's the hardest piece to get rid of is that foundation. And honestly, people can be listening to this and it could be so freaking scary to change. Yeah. It is. And I think that's one of the things is we get so comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it's like, you guys, like it feels like it's jumping off a cliff. I get that. That's the homeostasis impulse. But when you're able to build your foundation strong and you can have everything you want, I do truly believe you can have anything you want. We are our own selves getting in our own way. And I love that you said that foundation, but it takes bravery. It takes strength. It takes somebody that says, I'm willing to go back in order to go forward. I'm ready to go deep in order to go up.
Yeah.
That to me shows massive character.
That means a lot to me because in the hustle culture, I was doing door-to-door sales for a while. Love those guys. Great company, great environment, great culture. But a lot of that's not ever taken into consideration. And so, because you need numbers, you need the standard, right? What we were talking about with like public education, like the metrics, the revenue, the numbers. And it's like, people just losing their fucking minds about this stuff. But I think one of the biggest things that I've had to do is tell people no. Telling someone no is probably like the most empowering thing you can do. It's just protecting your energy, your time, your presence, all of those things, and knowing, hey, I'm not in the mood for these people. I don't have the energy for this activity. Maybe not physical energy, but like there is an emotional and a spiritual energy too, right? So that was huge for me. But the biggest thing is I don't think I tore anything down. I think my life, I did. I just did it to myself on accident, right? Just self-destructive habits tore everything down and I kind of hit a rock bottom. But what's really helped me a lot, especially in this marriage with Mal, is making sure I'm always, or not always, but I'm playing more. If I'm going to go heal my inner child, like if you're going to go like hang out with your nephew or niece or your daughter or something, like you don't just go hang out and like watch Law and Order or,
let's have
like,
some fun.
Exactly.
Let's enjoy the process.
Like, you go hang out with them.
Yeah.
You're like,
let's
hey, pick up that stick. You're a wizard now. You pick up, like, let's go. There's bad guys in the closet we got to go find. And my nephew's like, yeah. Are we the Ninja Turtles? I'm like, yep. I'm like, I'm a Power Ranger. Oh, okay. Yeah, And so like just being playful, and you can do this in your work. You can do this anywhere you are, just having fun with it. I've started really, really like pushing non-fun things away. And it sounds dumb because it's so anti-hustle culture. You just got to grind and do the work, right? But yeah, I'll do that. I have done that. And I've built on a poor foundation, and I've built without healing those cracks. And it all comes toppling down again. And so this time it's like build and play. How can I make building this company playful? Well, first off, one thing we did that was tangible is we got rid of all of our self-help clients. Outside of Cody Adent, I don't know why, but he's just got the best energy around that. We aligned with him more, but we got rid of all of our self-help clients.
Good.
All these fucking hobby podcasters
Kick their asses out of here. Just kidding.
Like they're telling us how to run our business, telling us how to do stuff, complaining and bitching about their content not being a certain way. And they're avoiding the work it's going to take for them to make their content better. It's them. So if they can change an aesthetic, they'll bitch about that. our views are down. We need to change the color of our subtitles. I'm like, okay.
Oh boy.
Okay, that's great. So we got rid of all that because I'm like, hey, if I can't play with you, like if we're sitting there playing with our dinosaurs and you're like, no, it's time for taxes. I'd be like, man, you know, like this should be fun, right? Like, I mean, we're talking about some heavy content, right? But this doing your career, I'm doing what's in line with you is fun and rewarding, and it's playful in a way. And so just focusing on that has been really helpful with my healing.
I could see why. I could definitely see why.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is we're going to say the same exact thing, but it's just a little different. And that's what's so cool about getting people talking is you can be so present and listening and go, interesting. That's exactly what's in my head, what I've come into the realization too. And mine is that you need tools. You said work hard. And then I said you need the right energy in order for it to actually be successful, which you mentioned play. And so those were my two takes that yet not actually working hard. You can work hard in the wrong direction, guys.
That's so true. Yeah.
And I tell people like, there's a whole list in my journal. It's so funny of like all the things I want to come out one day where it's like, don't work hard. Like you guys, like when you've done all the like cliche terms of all the things we've done for the self-help and you go to the end of it and you're like, okay, that was not it. Then you have to find your way back, and peeling it back is sometimes it's the finding the enjoyment of it and being able to express yourself in this authentic and genuine way for people to truly see you.
Yeah.
And that's like what we were talking about last time, the complexity to then bring it back to simplicity. That's the exact same thing we're talking about, working hard, but yet making it fun.
Yeah.
It's all.
Yeah, you're working hard in the right way, in the right direction. That's such a good phrase. Like it's in line with you. Finding things that are in line with you is way more important. Like everyone's going to have to work hard in life. Like it's just a thing. Like the system is made to make you an employee. It's made to make you subservient to the consumer market, the products that we need. So on and so forth. And like, you know, I mean, the fact that I can't collect rainwater in the desert is a fucking joke, right? Like that's the system I'm talking about, right? Mm-hmm. So there is work involved, and working hard is not a bad thing because it's like it's hard work to, you know, build a tree house, but you know, if your kids can play in the tree house, it's worth every drop of sweat, right?
Yeah, let me run with this because this is what I think of it. Okay, so we were talking when I was with Cody. We were talking about you have either two states you can be in, which is your fight, flight, freeze, or your rest and digest. Okay, right. And so when you're in your fight, flight, freeze, working really hard, well, did you actually know that your heart pumps faster, your lungs inflate, like take in less oxygen, that your tonality of your voice starts to turn more raspy? Your middle ear starts to shut off, so you don't have the deep listening, and you don't have enough oxygen coming into your brain to actually think clearly and make the best decisions.
Yeah, you were talking about parasympathetic and the sympathetic.
Yeah, so exactly. Sympathetic is the fight flight. So your whole body literally changes without you even trying to change. And so when you are, let's say I'm the brand owner, the face of my company, making all these advertisements, but yet I'm coming from that place naturally, like that people can feel that authenticity, genuine. They feel that fight, flight, freeze inside of my body. You're not going to get sales. They're going to feel that energetically. We are energy. That all comes down to that. The first place is energy. But if I came from my parasympathetic, which is the fun and the playful that you're talking about, all of those other things change. Your heart slows down. Your oxygen, your lungs can inflate more. You can think more clearly, make better decisions.
Yeah.
Dude, that's where it all starts. And so these people that are just running and running and running, trying to chase their tail to the next thing, I'm like, it really is when you have that fun is because it pulls you back into your parasympathetic.
Yeah.
And when people say you do, like, when it comes down to that balance, because when we can go to our levels of extremes, that's that complexity world that I went down. I did it.
Yeah.
And it didn't get me anywhere. But you know what? Try it for yourself. Try working hard for yourself without having any fun, and you go tell me how that works out.
Yeah.
It's not very
what's
fun.
the timer on it, right? I was going to ask you, my next question is, do you believe in burnout?
Oh, absolutely.
because of that exact concept you just said.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Because all you're doing is driving your entire body to the ground from nerves to on a cellular mitochondria. Like everything is just going to start to just burn.
Yeah. Do you know what a weird, funny metric I do with people on professional levels? It's not always applicable, but I found this pattern with a lot of hyper successful people is they're extremely hard workers. Like they're the hustle culture incarnate, right? Like they are it. And I can't have any fun around them. And I always will throw out references to Lord of the Rings or quote a Star Wars line or say some funny movie, something from pop culture, right? So to see what level of nerd or like what level of escapism have they participated in? How have they balanced? And if I can resonate with somebody about a hobby, then we can play. And then we can work and play. And there's a balance that we can achieve and we can get a lot of cool stuff done and we can be in a creative loop together.
Can you tell them about this picture that you have right in front of your house when people walk in? Because that totally sums everything up right there.
You want me to go get it?
Yeah, can you, please? Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that up because that is strategically placed to photograph for that very reason.
Exactly what you're talking
Yes.
about.
And when you guys walked in and you saw that, what was your reaction?
Oh, I just died laughing. I was like, what is this character about? What? I got to hear the story behind. Immediately, I was like, what's the story behind he chose this to be the front thing when I walk into his house?
Do you recognize him?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so this is John C. Reilly, the actor, but this is his character that he got famous off of. So when John C., I don't know like all the details of his story, but he kind of got discovered on Adult Swim. He just had him and some other comedian types. They had this funny skit and like bit show that they would do, and he was Dr. Stephen Brule, and he plays this like highly functioning, almost like autistic like news reporter. And he's like arguing with people about their professions. Like, well, I'm a doctor, so I know. Like, I'm Dr. Brule. And he's like going to like, he'll just interview people about like musician stuff. Like it's so funny and so cheesy. And it's kind of an obscure character. If you know, you know. But yeah, John C. Reilly's had a very successful acting career. He's been in some dramas. He's, been Will Ferrell's man in some comedies. Like,
well, I mean, going back and let's just tie it back into the Mormonism. I mean, when we come in, we normally see like, Jesus Christ hanging on our wall, right? And so when I come in and see this, I'm just kind of like, all right, we are in Utah. And so when I came in, I was just like,
because you almost like subconsciously expected to be Jesus.
Yeah, I just sat there and was like,
yep. And it's Dr. Stephen Brule. It's John C. Reilly.
That's great.
People who see it and notice it go,
they go, hey, whoa, like
people you're like, we can play.
Yeah, and at minimum they're like, hey, that's the guy from Step Bros with Will Ferrell, or they like say the movie, right? But yeah, and so that was a big part of me and Mal dating is we just laughed. Like I've never laughed more with anybody in my life than Mallory, and it's been like the key to my healing. I've been able to talk to her, be vulnerable, remain a child. She's the only person who hasn't gotten on my case about me enjoying binge watching a show or like. I run a video game community for veterans, and so a lot of my time I feel like I'm hanging out with friends or whatever, but I'll play a video game probably once a day at least. I'm on there, checking on the guys. How are my bros doing? Yeah, across the country, and if they're in a game, and I'm like, I got 30 minutes, I'll jump in with you, man, and hang out. And it's actually led to the hustle culture would have they scoff and laugh at me like. Because I've been amongst them, I've been in with them, and
they're terrible.
Yeah, they're good people, obviously, but there's just no room for play, and that's what I'm here to do. Like my entire life, I've realized that.
Don't stop.
Thank you.
Don't stop, because I think at some point they're going to realize that was the missing piece they needed the whole time.
I hope so, but like you can be, like I've led some very successful teams in sales. And some other things where these guys were literally changing their life because it was managing your dopamine, is managing your play too. Because I am an adult. My inner child has a place and he's protected. And like, I'm always going to play video games. I'm always going to do the things I love and enjoy. And I'm going to enjoy telling people no. And I'm going to enjoy telling people yes if I really feel like it, if I want it. And sometimes if somebody needs energy or a company, like I'll go out of my way for that too. But it's like my inner child has never been more protected than he is right now, because I'm standing up for it. And so that play is mandatory. It's 100% my authentic self. So if I don't do that, I get burnt out.
That is so important for men to hear, just the words of vulnerability and inner child. And I changed my protection mechanism around. And I said no. And I'm setting up boundaries because that's self-worth.
Yeah.
That is so, it goes going back to the genuine authentic of actually telling your story. Somebody's going to see themselves through you and go, that's what I need to do too.
Yeah.
That's the missing piece.
Do you feel that in your coaching and your therapy sessions? Do you find yourself giving people a lot of permission to do stuff like that?
Just safety.
Yeah.
Feel safe. Yeah. And one of the most powerful words of permission is just, I give myself permission to blank.
Like vocalizing it.
Yeah. What do you want to do?
Yeah. Yeah. Or like sometimes Mal, she's very similar in regards to you, where the a very similar culture was imposed upon her. And you know, women, I just feel for women because there's so much pressure in society. And like a testosterone driven guy, like, I don't know, the world was created. I very much think that men have domain over physical things in the physical realm. And I think women have dominion over the spiritual and emotional things more than men. And that's just kind of an opinion I'm kind of feeling it out. Totally open for dialogue around that, because there's stuff that maybe I'm not seeing there, but like, I think we have kind of like the yin and yang, right? It balances out. And like the emotional and the frequency and the stress, because men have let it go so rampant. It's like, it's a joint effort, and like, it's gotten out of control. And now the standards for women, you guys have to do everything we do now. Like, you have to be in the workflow if you're going to have respect, right?
Yeah, I find that it's an imbalance for maybe both parties.
Yeah.
Because going back to what you were saying, if you look at the geometric shape of life, we're getting drilled deeper.
Yeah, go.
Is that it's built up with circles and lines, squares. And the circular is a feminine energy, and the squares make up the masculine energy. Now, if you let women go, like if me and Mel sat and had a conversation, we'd be spinning for days. We could just blah, 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 blah. That's the spin. That's the feminine energy. For men, you keep that structure for us, and we need that. And for men, you guys would keep going in the same line for eternity if we didn't turn that curve. And so as we turn the curve, we're keeping each other in check into that perfect geometric shape. Check it out. It's like the
Fibonacci sequence.
The Fibonacci sequence, exactly. And that is how every plant, everything is all made, is from that sequence.
That's true.
And so by having the balance between the masculine and the feminine, you'll really see. So like, check this out. This is my thought on the feminine, masculine, thought on this, where you're going, is that females, what do we ultimately want to the core is safety, security, and protection in the most weirdest ways that sometimes men don't think.
Yeah.
And men, they want to feel like the provider, the protector, and that hero.
Yeah. And
we as women don't know how to give that. So if we had a dialogue, being able to converse what really makes us feel feminine, like to have that more of an inquiry rather than assuming, what type of breakthroughs?
Or telling. I do that. I catch myself doing that to Mal all the time.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, I love it when you wear those heels.
Wow.
And I'm like, I do like the heels. I love it. And
yeah.
But I'm like, why am I imposing that on her? Like, if she wants to wear them, she'd wear them.
No, but what's wonderful is when you tell her, she goes, that's awesome. Now I know what he likes. Right. That's communication. I know what he likes, and the stuff that he doesn't like, I'm gonna chuck. I'm gonna wear the stuff he likes. Yeah, and if I want to wear something different, great. But it's nice to hear that communication between the two.
But sometimes I think
the huge difference is you have to wear this.
Yeah, and I don't ever say like you have to, but if there's some healing that we haven't unpacked too, and like that in a society where you're meant to be so submissive and you don't know who you are, like if someone makes a suggestion, you're like taking it as a commandment almost. You're like, oh, I better do that. And so when I'm like, oh, I like it when you wear those heels or that outfit, and you're like, oh, I don't want to. And then I kind of like jokingly, I'll go, like I'll try to make light of it. But in a way, I'm kind of like slicing at you. I'm like, oh, I want you to be a certain way and you're not.
I
Subtly.
pointed you.
Yeah. And it's not like implied. I don't ever mean to do that, but I'm catching myself in these like things. I'm like, I can share that information without setting an expectation for her. Like if you don't, right? Like I expect it this way, or like I'm gonna.
You're very
tease you about
introspective as a man. I've never heard so much introspective from a man.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, most men are, I don't know. Well, I'm not going to bucket men. I think honestly, I used to be a man hater, and I really have loved to appreciate men and really what they do and what they give and what their role is for us.
Yeah.
And really just kind of seeing more, like peeling back the vulnerability and just saying, hey, that made me feel this way. Whoa. Okay. And we can really find, when we have a man that's vulnerable and a woman that's vulnerable, and that inner child feels safe, like what else can you ask for?
Right.
But what's happening, I see, is that there's just protection walls built up on both sides, protecting this inner child.
The ego.
The ego, yeah.
Because that's where as a child, that's all it is your ego develops as a child, right?
Yeah, so we don't know, this is a whole conversation to find out what those heels meant for her and what that created for her and what that felt for. I mean, that's a whole realm to kind of get into. But when you go into that and go, I just want to, from inquiry, I want to just check in on you. Like, how did that make you feel? What came up for you? You really learn a lot from people when we just stay in that place and find out, wow, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to really put myself on the spot here. I never had a vulnerability with a man until this year.
Whoa.
When you have a man crying on your shoulder and in your lap, it is the most amazing, beautiful thing of healing for both parts. Mm-hmm. And I myself was holding a tally mark against him of all the things that I didn't want to tell him what I really needed, because I thought if he left me, I'd be able to say in my head, oh, well, he never really did these things for me.
Yeah, you'd have some ammo to...
The defensive walls against each other. But when you can take that down and say, okay, what I really want is, I really want a plant for my anniversary. Stop getting me flowers that are going to die, but I want a plant that lives. And he's like, yeah, I can do that. And I'm like, crap. Now my heart is going to open up because he's going to do the things that I want. Interesting. That's what I'm saying. It can be really simple things, but we're holding up these walls of protecting our heart.
Yeah. And I want to add another layer to that, this for the men out there, because alpha males will tell you something and then you're hearing it from the mouth, from the source. And you don't speak for all women. We're not bucketing anybody here, but
True.
The vulnerability of a man is attractive.
Beautiful.
Because it allows for clear communication where maybe you can show a little emotion and he's not going to lose his cool. Right? That was a big thing for me with Mal. And with previous relationships, I had such a wall up and I had such a guard up because the females in my life were so emotional. That meant I was always in trouble. I was inadequate. I was the problem. I was the issue. So when the emotions arose, my defenses came up. Mm-hmm. And really, she's just venting, about everything that's stacked up, the hair, the client, the dogs, this, that, taxes are due, that, right? It's all adding up. And she's just venting, but I'm taking it personal. So first off, be vulnerable, but vulnerability really only is attractive, I would venture to say, if you know your man is capable. If the man is not capable, he is by default vulnerable, right? Being kind to somebody as a default only really matters if you're capable of violence. If I'm capable of the worst of the worst and I'm choosing this, then that's when the decision matters. A child is not capable of understanding some of these decisions. And so, you know, if they say a bad word because they heard it on TV or whatever, everyone just kind of chuckles, right? There's lower consequences because of ignorance. So like if you have a very highly capable man who is then choosing to be vulnerable with you, that's probably more powerful, I would imagine.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah. And so but if he's not capable.
Oh, yeah.
And you've been like, you know, picking up his laundry for 5 years or,
oh, yeah.
You know, doing, not that you wouldn't, you know, you would serve, I hope that each couple, male or female, would serve each other without keeping score regardless. But if he's not capable, then the service that you would normally do turns into a huge chore for that person, right?
Yeah.
And you start keeping score and like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I like that you kind of threw that in there because I agree. And it really comes back down to simplicity of we all have an inner child of what we're trying to protect. And once you see that, you'll see where that maybe that man of not feeling capable and maybe why he's not doing his part, or for a female, why she's not doing her part. It all starts to really make sense.
Yeah.
The big picture.
Yeah, it really does. And if you can see this in your relationships too, male or female, look for these patterns is what I would say. Because I think it was a while back, this front room that we have for another studio, but I did the French molding, and it was kind of cool because I've told Mal, like, hey, I've done this type of work before, I could do it. And it wasn't until the day of, I remember Mal was so frustrated because I was getting the ducks in a row, and she's like, I just want to do this thing, right? And so she was like taking action, like unaware that I had the capability. And I'm correct me if I'm wrong, Mal, but you were just doing what you thought was good, and you probably would have done an adequate job as well, like painting and making it how you envisioned it. But if you said you wanted French molding, and I was like, I got you. So
I mean, I accepted I wouldn't do that. I couldn't do that part at
but
all. I wasn't.
your frustration though was like because we hadn't taken action on it yet, and I was like waiting on one thing or something to click in my head design wise. I can't remember, but anyway, so this frustration, and I was like, oh, like as soon as I was like green light on that project, and she saw me bang it out in like 4 hours, and you were like running around so willing to help, and you were like, I think I'm just in the way, you know? And so she saw my capability, and I think it meant something to you because, you know, I was getting like, you were cutting the crusts off my sandwiches for like a week, you know, and I had a juice box everywhere I went, you know, I was taken care of. So
The question was never if you were capable. It just you've never seen someone do a task before, and it's kind of complicated.
yeah, it was new.
Oh, shoot, like that was cool.
Yeah, it wasn't. So you knew I was capable, but you just didn't know I was capable to that detail or that skill, because that was an old skill I learned as a kid.
I've just never seen it.
But
Like I've never seen anybody do that ever. So I was like, oh,
cool.
but I knew you could. It's not like I was ever like, all right, let's see, you know.
Right, but it was kind of attractive for you. It was like further validating that your husband or the man you're interested in is capable, and like it goes both ways too, because the more I've opened up to Mal, it's further validating that she literally has my heart in her hands.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell her more, and I can talk about stuff. Like we've talked about all of the things that were taboo growing up, you know, like you were talking about like the sex thing, because I want to swing it back into Mormonism, right? Yeah. So a lot of these procedures and these tools are completely missing from the culture. So everybody's just kind of bottled up, and there's just defensive walls, and there's things that you just don't talk about, even though they're like, you know, normal, and they're made out in the religion to be the end all be all sin that will ostracize you from the community and also exclude you from the heavenly kingdoms, right? But then no one has any equipment or any ability to talk about it. And I don't want to say no one, because there's probably some people out there that do. But the taboos around sex, like me and Mal, I've opened up to Mal, like, you know, about jerking off, about pornography, and about what's out there and how accessibility it is. And so the funny thing too is I used to be addicted to porn and masturbation all growing up. And the moment I left the church and it was like not taboo, like I went nuts for like maybe a couple days. I was like, yeah. WWW, whatever I wanted,
Yep.
you know, bottle of lotion right there. And it was out of my system. And like, there was no guilt attached to it. There was no like, you know, level, like, cause when there's guilt and you know you're doing something wrong and you keep doing that thing, it like makes it more potent, right? In the addictive cycle, I think.
It does, because the frequency that you're in now of that guilt and shame, you're just in that frequency that's at low vibration.
Yeah.
So you keep attracting, like energy attracts like energy. So you just keep attracting that over and over and over. You just stay stuck.
I never thought of it like that, actually. Yeah. Cause you're not in the low vibration of like the act itself. You're in the shame and guilt more.
Yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I never unpacked that or thought about that. But yeah, it was the weirdest thing. Like guys, I just going from a Mormon family, like super Mormon, right? And going into the Marine Corps, and I heard more F words in like the first 30 seconds that I've heard in my entire life. Right. And then just normally, it was just so normal for them. Like, oh, you don't jerk off?
Let's pause.
Oh, someone at the door?
I think Jay might be here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll pause. Yeah, we can talk for a long. So you've never. Well, I mean, introspection in a lot of men, I think, is lacking. Maybe we could spin it back to that. But that was very kind of you to say. I work very hard on that, trying to be as introspective. I just worked with some very high.
Which is awesome. It's just seeing where your growth. Jay, we'll be wrapping it up. Are we an hour? Is this an hour now?
An hour and some?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Or an hour and 20.
The recording's probably about 50 minutes right now.
Okay.
Because we did pause to reset some thoughts.
Cool.
But yeah, it's just a big thing. There's a lot of taboo. And so when you were kind of unpacking that was a big thing, is like what was taboo for you growing up that you couldn't talk about, that you always questioned?
I feel like we couldn't question anything in the Mormon religion. Like, I felt like it was just listen and obey and fold your arms and bow your head. Like, it was just such a underneath a rock experience of, I don't know, even self-discovery or just anything growth and trying to break free and rise above. And all of it felt like I guess it just felt like follow our way, don't find your own way.
Yeah. What is your way now? If you could label it, or do you have a label on the way?
I think my way is I like to just clear everything out, whether it's a fear, whether it's a limiting belief, anything that's going to hold me back, I go towards it.
So your way, I guess you could say then, your way is like internal. Like that's where your battles are. That's where your growth is. It's like you being.
Yeah, being. And then the being is now the reflection of the outside.
Yeah.
Because now I have that control, because everything is a mirror in our life.
Mm.
And obviously the physics of like energy attracts like energy. I am being able to send out positive boomerangs and receive positive boomerangs because I have that being.
Right. And I think too, that's a big thing that a lot of religions are disconnected from. It's always they make God outside of you. God is someone that's going to come back later. God is somebody that's watching you.
Yeah. Instead of we are an extension of God, and we are living this experience through God's eyes,
mm-hmm.
and we can have that same level of God.
I would even venture to say, like, you are God of your own reality and life.
Agreed.
Like
Creators.
God, yeah, God is not here with us in this existence. He gave us, like, we are an extent. Like in the Mormon Church, they say you're a child of God, right? You're a son or daughter of the Most High, which I think is very powerful to know. So my question to people still active in the church is, why are you fucking praying about your car keys? Why are you praying about what's my major going to be? You're a child of God. Like if you are really the son or daughter of the most high being and you believe that, it doesn't matter. Take some action. Create some stuff. Skin your knees, you know? Go learn. Go get some bruises, some cuts. Go learn some hard knocks. That's what we're literally here to do. Not live in a glass box or be like the Bubble Boy. You ever see the movie Bubble Boy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's how a lot of religious people walk, because they feel like someone's observation, like they are observing, but you're observing yourself, literally. I think you are a God of your own reality. And I think the only thing that makes logical sense, tell me if you agree with this. We'll get Danita's take on this, but logic, I think there's a little bit of logic, and there's logic and spirituality. They both go hand in hand. That's the yin and yang of your soul, I guess. But because we have a physical brain, we have logic, but we also have that frequency you're talking about, that emotion, that spirit. And so it's like, logically, if I am limited to my reality, I can only see, taste, touch, and smell everything in this room. I don't know what it's like to be Danita. I don't know what it's like to be Ranji begging for money on the streets of Bangladesh. I don't know.
True.
Right? And it's not real to my senses. Like if Ranji was like to you and me, have you ever had a bowl of Fruit Loops? Fruit Loops are real because you've experienced it with every part of your senses. You saw the commercial with Toucan Sam, you saw him in the store, you begged your mom or dad to get it for you. Then you bought it, you ate it, you tasted it, you smelled it, you touched it, and then you shit green the next day.
Yeah.
Right. So it's completely real to you. But the kid who's grown up on an island or in Bangladesh who's never heard of Fruit Loops, they're not at all real to him or his reality. And so I think the only thing that makes sense, if the goal is to progress and to be better, or to gain wisdom, like we're not taking anything physical with us, right, except our knowledge and experience. And so I think reincarnation is the only thing that makes sense. Because how the hell am I supposed to know what you've been through? Unless I hear you and listen to you, I can do that, but I can't ever experience that. I can't ever learn the lessons that you've learned unless I go live another life, right, like to the fullest. It's crazy. That's just my opinion on it. But.
Yeah. I agree with that. That energy can't be created nor destroyed. So I do believe that we are in evolution to the next thing, and wherever we go next, that our soul, this crock we live in, this bones and skin and what have you, but really what are we as soul? And I do believe that we are all in connection of that, and we're all experiencing things that are actually quite similar but different.
Yeah.
And like, are we all going to experience death and loss and struggle and our own pain? But yeah, so somebody that could be, experiencing homelessness or, slavery, or somebody that could be experiencing just a bad hair day, right? Like the thing is it's still hard for them. And so even though we don't experience that, we are still experiencing our own same experience, like still the same thing. And that's what I think really truly bonds us as being in that authentic and genuine place, is sharing our story. And for somebody to see themselves through you and see that and your growth gives them that hope to go, how did you break out of it? Because whatever bad hair day or homelessness that you've come from, that you were able to pull out, people say, wow, I relate to that. And you did it. So that means I can do it.
Yeah.
And that experience is what that human connection and bond, and that self-discovery of if we're trying to achieve our greatest or best self.
Yeah.
Is that.
And it might be that bad hair day. Overcoming a bad hair day might be the pinnacle of some people's life, as crazy as that sounds, right? But I think everybody's at their own level. It's such a personalized, customized experience that like society does not account for. Religion, it does not account for, right? It's so unique to each. But at the end of the day, I like what you said, because we all experience similar things, because the brain is basically like the pharmacy of the body, right? And the chemical compounds that our brain creates for us to feel, it's all dope. It's all the same. If you took dopamine from me and gave it to you, your body would use it the same. adrenaline as well, right? You can get an adrenaline spike. You can get adrenaline, testosterone. So all these hormones, all these chemicals, they're literally the same compound. So they might be out of whack or in sync more or less with the individual, but like it's the same chemical in our brain that's causing the same neural synapses to feel happy.
Exactly. I used to, I mean, we all judge, right? That's all how we perceive our eyes is we're all judging and labeling. That's what our brains do. And then you get to a point where you're judging and then you identify the judging and realize I'm not actually that much different. I used to say all the time, oh, I don't have an addiction. And my brother came from an addiction. And I was like, yeah, I'm so much above him because I don't have an addiction. Until one day I realized I'm addicted to adrenaline. I'm addicted to stress.
Oh, wow.
How am I any different and how am I any above? And so it's being able to really, truly recognize that we're not above or below anybody. And when we get to that baseline, it's pretty powerful what we can accomplish as human beings by reaching our, I call it limitless.
Yeah.
Get out of anything that is blocking you, stopping you. Your brain's not your best friend, becoming that limitless and really seeing somebody, really seeing them, hearing them, feeling them, bonding with them, and realize we're all in this together. We're all feeling and fighting the same battles.
Yeah.
Just different.
Yeah, it's exactly. Just different circumstance.
You and I had a lot of too many similarities on this podcast. So that was funny as far as 26 in Mormonism, and we're free in America right now. So it's way too many.
Exactly. Yeah, and we didn't touch too much on it. Maybe we'll save that for another time. But the sexual oppression or repression rather, where it's everything is repressed and hidden and pushed down.
Oh yeah.
And same thing with enjoying a coffee or stuff like that. It just does something to you. Not to say that those things can't become bad, mm-hmm. but in and of itself, a thing is just a thing, mm-hmm. right? Right. It's just like intercourse is just intercourse. It's whatever emphasis that you put on it, right? It's coffee is just coffee. I would venture to say though, like other substances like heroin, I think we're kind of they're a little bit. I can't just be like, it's just heroin, Dad. Like, chill out. But there's limits to that. But in closing for this episode, because I first off, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, the energy share is like it's dope. Yeah. It's awesome. Mm-hmm. I love your outlook on stuff. I encourage everybody to go find Winning the Moment. It's the latest podcast from Cody Adent. I don't think it's out quite yet because Cody's ahead on his release schedule. But when it comes out, it'll be linked into this show as well. So you can cross-reference that and get Danita's takes on things. But in closing, what's the most painful thing that you've learned about yourself recently? Can be the most recent thing.
The most recent thing was, I would say when I went homeless for about 8 months, that was a very painful rock bottom experience.
Oh, when was this?
Well, that was probably about 3 years ago.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's cool. What was that like? Like homeless on a couch, on a
just
car?
Losing everything as an entrepreneur, just fighting so much for a passion and working so hard that you just are running in the wrong direction and you basically lost everything. Kind
of self-sabotaged.
Yeah.
Almost. That's okay. We got to unpack that for a second, if that's okay. Yeah. Can I ask you, like,
yeah.
So what was your business?
Well, business is still the one I have today. It's a women's fitness company.
Okay, so it's the same business, same title, same LLC, everything.
I pulled my shit out, dude.
You did?
I kept going. I pulled out.
You hung in there.
I don't know how.
Okay, so how long have you been in business total?
8 years.
8 years.
8 years.
And so about 4 or 5 years in, it sounds like.
Yep.
Then it started trending downward. And what was your thought process at the time? Were you your most authentic self at the time?
No.
Okay, I figured since it started trending.
Fake. That was fake.
What did you blame it on something first?
Yeah, it was victim mentality. Oh yeah, everybody else's fault. It's not my fault.
Yeah, the market, the client.
Yep.
The website.
Why did this happen to me? God hates me.
Yeah.
That world.
Any type of label you can put on it, right?
Any.
Like that was the reference I was talking about when we got rid of those self-help clients. They had great messages, but when they weren't famous yet, and when they were feeling inadequate, they would blame it on something arbitrary. Like, oh, the subtitle, it was a victim mentality, even though they preach not to have that mentality. They kind of, and to be fair, like, we're all human and shit creeps up on us. Like, I think once a day, I'm probably doing something extremely hypocritical that I don't even know about yet until I unpack that shit.
Of course.
So what was the major thing? It was the victim mentality.
Victim mentality was a major thing. Well, and limiting beliefs. I didn't realize that my I'm not good enough was creating my own pattern of
It was like creating it, actually.
Self-destruction.
Oh, shit. Mm-hmm. So what was the downward trend look like?
Oh, it was horrific. It was just having the work more mentality, running myself to the grave, pulling out my 401k. I sold my car. I pulled out all my savings. And it was just continuing to spiral. And I was living my job through the sympathetic nervous system. Fight, flight, freeze. I was just such in a struggle and constantly struggling and didn't know how to pull out until we all hit rock bottom. Now we can all relate to that, right? So my story can relate to everyone. We go to those rock bottoms, and then what do you uncover in rock bottom is, well, hopefully you should find out who you really are.
It's a sacred place.
Because you can't go any further. So where do you go from there? You start to peel away what you're not and realizing, man, I've been creating a business thinking this business is better than me, but I'm the one that created the business. What do I have now? Skill set. Pick your ass up.
Yeah.
Get up.
Perspective.
You're good enough. Let's go.
That's so cool. So like the rock bottom, like obviously you didn't lose the business.
No.
You lost probably all your clients though. Or did you maintain them?
That's where I built the community. That's where I built the community, is in my lowest place. And when they saw me in my lowest place and now they see me going, guess what? You got followers. They want to see where you're going.
Shit. Yeah. I mean, Gandhi had nothing and he still amassed a huge following.
Yeah. Don't show people you're perfect.
Yeah.
Show them what is.
Yeah. Show them that you're real.
Yeah.
So what did that look like for you? Build a community and you were just blatantly honest with them. Guys, my life's in shambles.
Yeah. So where it all started is because I came out with a product and it was rubber bands with fabric on top. I thought it was genius. I was like, yes, I found the thing. Well, when you sew through rubber, Danita, they're eventually going to break. And so I was selling this thing like it's a forever product that will never break on you, And then all of a sudden it started breaking, and then it started breaking, and then I started having angry customers. So I had really intense success, really like.
This is the booty bands.
Yeah.
Right.
Intense success. And then all of a sudden everything started breaking. And so that was when I went into depression for the first time in my life. And I just remember people were like, you're a scam. Your product sucks. You're the worst. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And I could not get out of bed. I just loved the darkness. I'd just pull the covers up over my head and just say, just let it all be over.
I know that.
Yeah.
What a great place though.
Yeah.
Fucking ouch.
Yeah.
Okay. So your product sucked.
Sucked. Total sucked.
How does that conversation go though?
So what I did is I built a Facebook group. Well, so what I had to do is I had to sell my car and I'd get my 401, I had to get my savings, and I wiped out all of my inventory, and I got a U-Haul and I went up to LA and just wiped everything as far as elastic, not rubber. And then I brought it back down, and I built a Facebook group, and I brought all the girls in that were complaining, and I said, look, I made the group only to just replace your bands. So for anybody that had a broken band, just send me a picture, send me an image of what it is, and then I'll go ahead and send a replacement.
Right.
That was the whole reason why I built the Facebook group. Now it's like 18.5 thousand followers later.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding. It's like, it's
That's the most badass story I've ever fucking heard. And that tops every fucking Ed Milet talk I've ever heard. That tops everything. I don't care how many fucking zeros you got in your goddamn bank account. That's entrepreneurship right there. God damn. Like we've been podcasting entrepreneur podcasts for years, Danita. And nobody's ever been that vulnerable.
Aw.
They've said it. They've said stuff. People have gone through similar things, but they don't say it like that. That hits different. I'm trying to think of another reference, Mal. I don't know if anybody, because you sold everything you had. You chose to be homeless and tell your customers that you were rectifying the situation. I don't see, you don't see that in business anymore today. That's amazing. What year was this?
This was, this had to have been about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, so like right as COVID was kicking off,
Yeah.
pre-COVID maybe.
Pre-COVID.
So you you got rid of your inventory, repurposed it so it wouldn't break, rectified with all of your clients,
Correct.
and started from scratch basically.
Total scratch.
No car.
No car.
Where were you living? Did you have some friends looking out for you, family?
So I had to move from San Diego, which was my dream place. I've always
love San Diego.
wanted to live in San Diego, and I was there. And so I had to move out of San Diego and came to Utah and moved in at my sister's house. It was already a family of 5 that got thrown in one room. And then it was another girl they were housing in another room. And then me and my fiance and our 2 dogs in the other room.
Wow.
It was insane.
It was this Jay?
Yeah.
This is Jay.
This is Jay.
Jay was there for the long haul?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
This
we're
is
having
my
Jay
man.
on next week. And so I want his perspective on this too. This is just getting better and better.
Yeah.
Dude, okay. That's so cool. So Jay, you were there the whole time. That's it. That's so cool. We're going to unpack that next week too. And I'm going to get you on the schedule. All right. We've covered a lot of topics today. And anything else you want to say about that? You came from rock bottom and like,
That's how you find yourself, you guys. Don't be afraid of your rock bottom.
yeah.
Go rock bottom. Find yourself, and then do not be afraid to be seen.
Ooh.
You are so powerful. You are so amazing. If you realize how enough and worthy and deserving you really are, you would make your own self speechless.
I agree. If you can see, I mean, even if you just started seeing seeing yourself how other people see you, good or for bad, right? You probably fix stuff a lot quicker if you're doing some heinous shit. But yeah, just seeing, like if Mal could see how I think of her in my head, I think it would change some stuff. If we could like just, Spock, from Star Trek, if I could just be like, put an image in your mind or whatever. If I could just get a USB drive like Neo in the Matrix and just upload that, I think.
She's smiling. I can see her. She's feeling that right now.
She's feeling that.
I think it works. I think it worked.
Yeah, let me try it out. Are you feeling it? No? Okay.
She got it.
That's awesome though. But that's some really wise words from Danita.
Yeah, let's do this
Young.
again. This is one of many. I'm excited to keep going.
I agree.
Let's change
And
lives.
Exactly. And so you actually have some content out there as well. So tell us how people can find you.
Yeah, check me out. I'm at bootybands.com. You can check me out at DanitaYoungFitness.com.
DanitaYoungFitness.com. Perfect. And then I think, don't you have a podcast that you've done some episodes on as well?
Yes.
Cool. How can we find that? I want to dig it up, if that's all right.
Yeah, so just go to bootybands.com, scroll down, and you'll see all the podcasts on there.
Sweet. How many episodes have you done?
I think we've done somewhere in the 150, 200, somewhere around there. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then are you guys currently actively doing that? Or
I took a little pause just to kind of pivot.
Yeah.
And it's what you do in business, but we did a really good pivot we're excited about. But I do have quite a few that I need to send out, and we're going to keep going. But mine's a little different. It's I'll bring experts on, which is really fun, but I'll also bring my clients that have graduated the program.
Oh, beautiful.
And that's pretty cool to hear what their takeaway is on it.
That's awesome. The research shows podcasting is amazing for community growing as well as clientele. Cody was talking about that too a while ago, but excuse me. I think there was a study done by this media company, but they would put up these ads and they'd get a decent return on them. But ads from a podcast talking about a product or service was 6 times more likely to bring in revenue.
I believe that.
Yeah, they 6x'd just like 1 or 2 ads. Like, it's crazy.
I wish I had that instead of my breaking bounds. That would have been way better to build my community that way.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. That's such a cool story. So Danita's rock bottom. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, yeah.
And thanks for being vulnerable.
Yeah.
She's a real one, guys. And we're going to have the other half. Jay's going to be on next week. And I'm stoked for that. So
Yeah.
Anything you want to say in closing? You got a good like quote? What's a favorite quote for you?
Favorite quote. Boy, you put me on the spot. I would say, don't be Mormon. I had nothing better. I just wanted to make you laugh.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I can make you laugh. Hey, playful, right? So you're playful.
Yeah, be playful. Yeah, be playful. I agree. And by the way, I think all of our conversation, there was nothing really discussed about doctrine, right? I agree. Like, or I don't have problems with, the gospel, right, per se. We were just had issues with the culture and stuff like that, it sounds like. But yeah, that's a great way to end it. Yeah, don't be Mormon. We'll see you later.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that was awesome.